that we could use other people's CSS, and the example that I was giving you are those fonts, those Google fonts, right? So how do we use these Google fonts, you ask? I showed you how, like, when you go to Google Fonts, you have some like icons, right? And then these icons, turns out they're also font-ish styles. So what I'm showing you here, I don't know how y'all figure out how to use them, but pretty much if you look at this developer guides, they actually tell you exactly what to do. So if you were to go to that developer guides, what ultimately happens is they tell you about this material symbol guide. They tell you that, basically they're different font axes. I guess this is what you gotta do when you're putting together a font, talking about the fill and then how different fills affects the icon, the weight, as you can see, the different weights, and then the grad access. I don't know what that is, the whatever that access is all about, and so forth. And then, over here you can see the documentation, and what we're interested in is, used in the web, right? So if we go there, they tell us, hey, the easiest way to set up these icons is pretty much through Google Fonts. Include this single line of HTML. Hopefully you're kind of pretty familiar with this line, which is pretty much linking to some external link that's giving us some sort of CSS that we're supposed to use. And for the curious few of you, if you copy that link and you just go try to see what they give you, which is literally CSS, you probably, remember what this is. What do this is creating us like a font family, if you will, that's called material symbols outline. And you can see that they also created us a what is this? What does that tell you? A class, right? And then if you look inside that class, whatever has that class, they're literally using the font family that they created up top, and then they're setting up a bunch of stuff here. But hopefully, when you read, you also realize that the above snippet includes the default configuration for each axis with weight at 400, optical size at 48, grade at 0, fill at 0. So you get the basic setup. But in any case, we're gonna copy that. And where do you think I should put that link? This is probably like a trivial question, but humor me. Where should I put this link? In the head of my HTML. There you go. So come down here and let me say, I'll give me myself another, say, Google Fonts icons, right? And boom, boom, paste it there. Now, the second thing is like, okay, if you want to use that, they tell you like, hey, if you want to use font CSS API to configure different whatever, take a look at the following example. So they linked their stuff and they're giving us a little code pen, a little example, and they're telling us that whenever they want to use any icon, look at that, as long as we give whatever we want to use. And so they're using a span. And the reason why they're using a span is basically spans are like inline elements. They're little text. They're not taking up a whole lot of space or whatever. They're not heavy to the browser whatsoever. And as long as you give it that class that they created, remember, we never created this class. We're downloading that class and the code that goes behind it. And as long as you use the name of the icon, then we're golden. What? So they tell us that if we want these icons, right, we would then come down here, find out whatever the icon is all about. So if we know that this is the name of that icon is called home, to use it, we basically gotta go and use whatever the span, and then whenever we're done, we put the name home inside of the span. Is it there for me? So that means if I were in here and under this guy, I want me a span, and then that span, I gotta give it that class of material symbols outlined, like so. If I give it that class and I say home right here, they're saying that I should see a house. Let's about to find out if that's true or not. And right about now, it's not. That home is not working. So I'm gonna go check what I did wrong. I got maybe I jacked up the class name. So let me find out what I did wrong. And it is material dash symbols dash outlined. Missing an L. Some. symbols. Yep, there you go. There you have it. And if I go to Flexbox, there you have it. Again, this little home icon was given to me or was styled by some styles that I never had anything to do with. All I had to do was to know how they work and use them in my code. How clear is that?
Hi, Nelly. I got a question.
Go
I couldn't
for it.
find the span. I found the link part of this on the website, but the span portion, I couldn't locate that.
Which link, which portion are you talking about?
So
Where did you
the
go?
one that goes in the head, the link, href, and then it's got the website information
Where did
or
you
the
find the span? After you clicked on the icon, you're saying you came down here and you didn't. So you're
okay,
saying you never found this?
yeah,
It's not showing up above your span.
yeah. I found the static font with Google Fonts, and that's the link that I took up.
All right, so click on the developer guide the same way I went, right? Click on developer guide. Once you click on that, find using web. You'll find this link right
Uh,
here. Copy that link, put
right.
it in there.
Yeah, I'm good till that part.
You found it? You got it?
Yeah, I found this part, and then but the span part that comes after this, I don't see that.
Okay, let me stop sharing to you to share your screen so I can take a look at what you see and give me a second so I give everybody presenter rights. Everybody, make everybody presenters. All right, show me what you got.
All right. So this is how far I came, like where you just stopped. So I copied this part. I went to use in web and then copied this part, and
Okay, where did you
that's
put
it.
it? Okay, when you
In the
copied it,
head,
what did you put it? Okay. And then when you say you don't see the span part, what do you mean?
I was supposed to like you had that on the right side, like you just copied this
Sc-
from here
yeah,
somewhere.
scroll down. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, go back to the tab that's to the left of the tab that you have open. To the tab that that guy.
Okay.
And scroll
So
down, find any icon that you want. Click on it.
oh, okay.
And then scroll down. To the right. If you scroll down, you should see the span. Scroll down. Do you see
Okay.
span? That guy.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right.
Okay, I was on the different side. All right, thank you.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else run into an issue to at least get those icons showing up for you? If the answer is no and everybody's good to go, well, I'm here to tell you that basically these Google Fonts icons are not the only icons in town. And actually there is another. What about icon colors? Well, if you keep reading the documentation, you'll figure out how to change that. But if, so if I, that's a good question. I like that. Let's go. So again, I'm right here, right? So using the web, if you're here, you just keep scrolling down a little bit, and they tell you if you're animating icons, if it's CSS or want final control over icon features, use the Google Symbols variable font using ranges in the format of number. We could load the entire variable font, blah blah blah. If you want to see, basically there look, you can see how this is changing. So basically when you're using the link, you can see how this link is a little different because it has all these other guys' options kind of added to this, right? So you have to read up a little bit to understand what those gradients are all about or what, the range that you have and so forth. But ultimately, once you use this link, you can see how thin outlined icons, they're, saying they use a font variation settings. You don't have to, since the same way, what is this? When you see style equals, what does this tell you? What is that? You should know exactly what that is. What is that? What do we call that? Those are inline fonts. Did I say that inline fonts are pretty good to go? What do y'all think? Instead of using that, you could style whatever element that you want. You could give it the same CSS rule in your style sheets. Everybody tracking what I'm talking about? So in any case, they're saying that if you use your spans, your material icons, and you wrap them in a container whose font variation settings are set, then all those icons are gonna share those settings. So as you can see here, the search and all these other guys, they're wrapped into all these settings, and that's changing the weight and whatever this is. So you can see that this is smaller compared to these guys that are bigger. Ebenezer, I don't know if that answers your question, but when it comes to say like you want to change styles, you can just change the style, the color of that element. So for instance, if I were here, select this guy, and then let's say that guy, and then let's say Ebenezer, does that answer your question? It's still CSS. It's still an element. Does that clarify for everybody else that kind of want to change the color? I hope you can still use the same CSS declaration that we're aware of and we're used to. Now, the same way that there's all these Google font styles, there's also something that we call material design icons. So if you were to say material design icons, right? You go to that link right here, material design icons. Say, I don't want to download them. Everywhere you reading documentation, you always want to find something around that, the idea of getting started, like beginners. You want to start there, regardless of what you want to start there so that you can have an idea of how to use things. So, I'm here, material design icons. Okay, using the web font. One of the easiest ways through the web font. This is hosted, is a hosted CDN. Anybody know what that is? CDN. What is that? What does that stand for? Anybody? There you go. It's a content delivery network. It's a big name for a really cool link. We've been using CDN this whole time. That Google font link that you used, that font icons that we use was a CDN. So what the hell is a CDN? It's basically, when they say content delivery network, it's a network of a bunch of servers that have exactly the same stuff, but are all over the world, so that, let's say if I'm in Rwanda and I want to access that link for Google Fonts, I'm hitting the server that's probably close to Kigali than the server that's close to Boston. So they're probably hitting the server that's in South Africa to give me my content. If I'm in Boston and I'm looking for Google Fonts, they're probably hitting up a server that's in New York, so that that journey to go and come back is shorter. Why does that matter? I'll show you when we start talking about the back end, but it matters. So that content delivery network is really what makes up the whole what you hear about the cloud, right? Like the cloud being a bunch of servers all over the world, and being able to connect to a server that's closer to you, but they all have the same data. So those links that we've been using with Google Fonts or Google Icons, those are all CDN. So whenever you see a CDN, remember, they're just talking about a link that's getting you data faster because the server that's serving you that data is closer to you. So when you see CDN, it's just a goddamn link. That's what they mean. So if we want to use the web font, so clicking an edge location in AWS, I don't know. Um, Actually, yeah, I have limited CloudFront, but CloudFront is edge location. I don't know. I have no idea. My AWS knowledge is very limited. So okay, so I just clicked again. I just clicked on this use web font getting started, and if you look at it, that's the link. That's the CDN link. What do you think this link would go? If you look at the file extension, what do you think this will go? Where do you think I would put that link? CSS document. So basically, watch this. Where did when we went here, look at that. Where do we put that link? We put it in this href attribute. It wouldn't be any different. We'll literally put that link in, in the href attribute of our link. Why? Because that is where our CSS is actually coming from for all these other icons. So I'll just copy that guy. You meant, where does the link take you? Yes, the link takes me to like whatever CSS they have behind these icons. So if I wanted to use material design icons, all I need is access to that link. And then once I have access to that link, I could just go here and let's say comment these guys out. And then I'll go to material design icons. And that's the link that I want, but that link does not exist by itself. It has to be inside of a link. I want to link some CSS, boom, the href, that's where I put that href. So this guy goes right there. Okay, so that's me linking to material design icons. Now, once I'm done linking to my material design icons, they give me some basic examples. Each icon can be referenced by their name prefixed by MDI dash. Pretty not bad. For instance, to get a home icon, you just say MDI dash home. What? Yep, Bob lives in like you just give it two classes, MDI and MDI home. That's it. Like what? Yeah, this class, if you ask me what that class from, well, I'm gonna tell you they wrote that class. I did not write that class. So if I hit enter, you bet. This is CSS. It's just so it's almost like you put CSS in a freaking plastic bag and you push that plastic bag so you get rid of all of the air. That's what they did here. But if you look close, you can see MDI dash account dash child dash outline. This is a class. So if you were to control F and search for dot MDI and curly brace or MDI dash home, you bet there's MDI home all over the place. So yeah, there's a class called MDI home. Okay. And if I use it, they'll give me a home icon. Like, all right, cool. So if I were to then go to my VS Code and say, hey, you know what? I want, let's say, instead of this home guy, I'm going to say spin, and I'm going to give it two classes. And then if you want to give it multiple classes, all you need to do is dot and then give it parentheses right here and then say MDI and then space MDI, let's say dash home. Oh no, that's not gonna work. So let me do dash dot MDI space MDI dash home. Nah. Oh. Okay, spin dot MDI. It doesn't want to give me multiple class. MDI, I need to figure out the shortcut for that. But MDI dash home, and let's say I want to wrap all this stuff in a P tag. I think I could do W wrap and then say P, and then hit enter. So I'll wrap it the whole thing in a P tag, and let's say I welcome, or yeah, welcome home. So welcome, and then space. So if I save this and I go look at my code, my page, I see welcome home. So this is a material design icon as opposed to a Google Fonts icon. How clear is that? I'm just using different classes, but the concept is the same. You have CSS, a link to CSS, you get a bunch of classes, and you take advantage of those classes. All right. And, you got some good news. If you like these material icons, if you were to go back to that, they actually have a material design icons extension, and we're going to install it. So if you go to extensions and you look up material design icons, you will see that, yep, there is this material design, I guess, let's see, material design icons IntelliSense. So material design icons IntelliSense. material. Where, what are they talking about? Why don't I see that? Okay, I have VS Code, man. Yeah, open that. So anyway, I don't know why when I typed in material design, type in design and design. Okay, there you go. I messed up. Yep, design icon. There you go. Find this guy. Okay, that guy. Install him. Once you install it, right? Once you install that, they tell you that, they basically have autocomplete for your, for your different icons, like so, right? So if I went to VS Code, for instance, and I'm right here, and I want, let's say I have a P tag, and I'm doing some stuff, and I want like MDI. As soon as I type, not like that, but I think if I type MDI, where is it? Dash. Let's see. P and then MDI dash. Why isn't it? Okay, I think it's going to be a class. So let's do class equals MDI dash. Why? Why don't you give me my autocomplete? I mean, hopefully you can see how, it already knows this is a home icon, but I don't know why it's tripping over my autocomplete. So let's see how the extension works. Say boom, boom, boom. Material designer. Yeah. And is there anybody who this extension is working for him? I don't know why it's not auto completing. If not, no, mine isn't completing either. Okay, let's see if I gotta set up any. And I should be able to work. Is enabled globally. So extension settings. Yeah, there's no settings for it found. I think maybe I gotta close that HTML, open it back again. Give me 1 second to make sure. All right, so I see definitely that that extension has kicked in, but all right, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, it shows the icon. Not sure if that's what you mean. No, I mean in VS Code, whenever you type MDI and dash, it should pull up a bunch of icons to show you the different options that you have if you don't know which one you need. But if this is a, if that does not work, you could always go here, material, design, design icons, and then if you go to their website, you could search for any icon. So let's say I want basketball. There you go. If I want a basketball, you click on this little bad boy, and then they'll show you aliases, description, let's see, learn more. So if you, damn, where's the name? God damn it. MDI, size, title. Ah, all right. There you go. No, 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 no. I just want the name of the sucker. All right, give me a quick one. All right, there you go. Okay, so here we go. So we're here, and autocomplete worked when you typed in MDI colon, not dash. How about that? MDI. Oh, MDI. Like so? Or as in a class? Let's see. So I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how this extension works, but For those of you whose icons are not working and so forth, you could uh take a look at this basketball one, click on click on that basketball, and if we were to look at uh, I'm gonna have to figure out. I think they changed. There you go, production website. No, not here. Oh gosh. All right, let me. So I need basketball, and then if you look at that basketball, you click learn more. If you look at these icons, and let's say you were to click on this guy. No, I don't want to install Jack, man. Okay, I'm gonna need to figure out the quickest way to get. Basically, their title is the name, but I need to figure out a way for you to be able to pull out their names without having to do all this Pilates. Uh, yeah, yeah. I need to figure out how to find their names. I usually, for the most part, I use these material design icons using React, so you can see like most of their examples kind of come up with having to use like React and stuff like that. But even using them in a web application that uses vanilla JavaScript should be straightforward as far as like finding the names. It's just that for some weird reason, their documentation does not give you straight up the name, just like how you have in these Google Fonts icons. So I need to figure out, what their names are to put in those classes. So bear with me after lunch. I'll show you how to get those names. But for the sake of time, I want to use this segue to start introducing you to something that's a little bigger than just icons. As you can see, when it comes to icons, you just gotta know the link. And then once you know the link, you just gotta know the name of the class or the icon that you need to use, and you're good to go. You can use any icons. Now, that structure, that paradigm is the same exact one that is used to use any third party CSS anything. CSS fonts, CSS icons, but also a whole slew of CSS libraries. And when I'm talking about CSS libraries, I'm talking about a lot of CSS styles that have been written by other people that if we have access to those classes, we could just use. And I'm about to introduce you to, in my opinion, the best thing that was invented after freaking bread. And that is something called Bootstrap. And I'll let you be the judge of that, but I'm about to show you that all the CSS that we've written to this point, you didn't have to. Right. Oh no. But you'll see why I made you write it. Because when you understand the foundations, you understand how to go use either third party uh, code to help us work faster. But if you don't know the basics, man, I'm telling you, you might as well be looking at a Lamborghini, but can't do anything with it, right? So I want you to, hit up Bootstrap. It's pretty popular. But the context story is, a bunch of developers at Twitter were, pretty much styling stuff redundantly. They have multiple teams that were kind of like rewriting stuff, reinventing the wheel. And, some smart people got together and they were like, yo, why don't we create a central library of different styles that we're using and just give access to pretty much every team so that whenever they want to create a similar card, they could just use the styles that we've already, published. And that became too popular, and they actually open sourced it. They give access to every single person, so now everybody, anyone in the world that has that link can literally use their styles. So if you go to Bootstrap, you will be greeted with, by a site that looks like this. And before you start going and clicking, I want to train you on how, our goal is we're coming to this website and we're trying to figure out how do we use this, whatever they have. So whenever you get here and you have that goal in mind, which button do you think you should be clicking on? The first button, like you want to learn how to use this. So, if some of you probably want to click all these Twitter icons, but you probably don't want to do that. You probably want to start with the documentation. Again, remember the goal is you want to go to that thing that says, hey, here's how you get started. That's where you want to start. So, okay, click on, docs and it says, okay, get started with Bootstrap. I like that a whole lot. Now, the next thing, the next mission that you have, which is hard, it's very hard, is to read. Don't skim, read. Yes, read. And when you read carefully, you actually realize that everything is there for you. So here we go. Quick start. Getting started by including, not a big read guy. All right, so if you get here, right, get started by including Bootstrap, production ready CSS, and JavaScript via CDN. What's the keyword for CDN? If you wanted to like simplify this whole three-letter word, it's literally a link. So they're saying, all right, cool. You want to do that? Fine. See it in practice. But we know CodePen does everything for us, so I don't want to go there. I want to do it myself. So they're like, all right, here's how you could get started. Create a new index.html file in your project root. So what we're going to do, we're going to stop right here. We're going to go to our VS Code, and we're going to set up a brand new folder for ourselves. We're going to call that Bootstrap. Inside of that folder, we're going to create an index.html file, and we're just going to go through the stuff that they're telling us to do. Let's do that. Going to VS Code, and I'm gonna close this guy. Don't save that. And just like we have all these other folders, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna create a brand new folder. I'm gonna call Bootstrap. And over here, I'm gonna create myself another file that's called index.html. Once I got that file going, I'm just gonna set up my boilerplate file, set it up, Bootstrap. And for now, I'm not even going to worry about my CSS or anything like that. I just need an index.html file. Once I got that selected and populated with everything that I want, then I'm going to go back to the documentation and look at what they're telling me. Okay, I got that. And then, we got this guy already because that came with everything that we got. And then they want you to kind of have something similar to this. I already changed my title. I don't need this H1 at all. But now here they're saying include Bootstrap, CSS, and JavaScript. They're like, all right, place the link tag in the head for for their CSS and the script tag for their JavaScript bundle before the closing of the body. So we're going to put the link inside of the head, and we're going to put the script before the body. And you're like, okay, Nelly, this JavaScript stuff, this is new. Why do I need to do that? Good question. Let me not put that there, and I'll show you what's going to happen if you forget that script. Hopefully, you will know how to fix your problem when you do forget that. So I'm just going to go with the link first. So I'll just come down here and copy this link right here, like so. Once I got that link, I'll go back to my HTML, go in the head, paste this bad boy in there, like so. So this is giving me access to Bootstrap. But if you've been following what I've been doing, you probably might want to copy that and go see some of the styles that you're getting as a result of copying that link. If you paste that there, you will see, yes, it's a lot of CSS. I mean, look at this. It's a lot of CSS. And we're going to learn, I mean, it's impossible, I think, to just cover everything that's in here. But the beauty of this is if you were to look in this side here, scroll down, you can see that there is a bunch of components, what they call components, that you get access to as a result of using this, their styles. One very simple one could be maybe this thing about buttons. It turns out that in their styles, they have a class called BTN and another class BTN-primary. And they're saying that if you use these classes, like so, on any element that has some content, that content is gonna is gonna be styled exactly like that. Nothing else. Like that's it. You're like, huh? Can you show us how that works? Sure thing. I'll go inside of this body and I will even not even put in a button. I'll just put in a paragraph and I'll put Lorem Ipsum in there. We're used to this guy for a minute. So I got my paragraph. Let's take a look at how that paragraph looks like before we even put in the Bootstrap classes. So I'll open this with Live Server and I'll have this bad boy kind of hang out with that code so we can see how it changes in real time. I'm gonna put that right here to the right. And then once I have it all to the right, hopefully you see this is just a regular old paragraph. But I also want to show you that all my paragraphs weren't looking like this before. If I take off this link, I want to show you that that link brought with it a little bit of beautiful things. This is how my regular p tags would look like. I want you to notice how there's a little margin or padding that's above here. But when I bring in my Bootstrap, things start looking beautiful as a result. Look at that. Everything is kind of looking like, you know, there's a new sheriff in town. Not yet though. Until I start taking advantage of these classes, you don't even know what you got. All I'm about to do, I'm about to get this p tag and I'm gonna get it .btn dash primary class, and I want you to see the magic that's about to happen. I want you to let it sink in a little bit, the power of what just happened. So meaning there's a bunch of classes that we can use without having to reinvent the wheel. Some of you, you're like, Nelly, that's not fancy, bro. Like I could write a button like that, man. Like it's just background color and like all these like, you know, white color and a blue background color. That's not fancy. Sure. Let me blow your shit up real quick. How about this? How about a card? Hmm? How about a card like this, right? How about I could copy that and literally get your card. I know I need an SRC, so I could go get me an image. So let me say random image. And I don't know, let me get this guy, get its image address, put it right here and save. How about that now? How about that? Blown up yet or not? Not yet. Not impressed. Okay, sure. How about how about a nav bar? How about that? You know, how about a nav bar? How about not this nav bar, but how about something a little more, you know, just up a little bit? How about something like that, huh? How about let's see. How about something like, yeah, let me say this. How about that? Like, how about that now? How about that? Huh? Impressed yet? Okay, now, of course, you know, I told you that, you know, I'm gonna show you what happens if you don't put JavaScript in there. Remember, I basically linked just the CSS. So just give me a second. Give me a second. I'll tell you why I'm showing you this, right? So if you don't put JavaScript here, if you don't link their JavaScript, if you remember, JavaScript is all about interactivity. It's all about being dynamic. So if you don't put their JavaScript, if you don't link their JavaScript here, then what's going to happen is any of their components that are interactive or dynamic are not going to work. Hopefully, you know that if you see a hamburger menu like this, you probably want to click on it so that it can drop down. Well, in my case, I never linked their JavaScript, so clicking this guy ain't doing me any good. Nothing happens. And if I were to go to this page, if I were to shrink it a little bit, the hamburger menu that they have drops down. But because I don't have my JavaScript, their JavaScript linked on my page, I'm screwed. I can't, doesn't drop down. How do I fix this again? Go get their JavaScript. Where do you get their JavaScript? If you click on docs, you get to that getting started, find their script right about here. And then where do you put that? Right before the closing of your body. Right before the closing of your body. Not after the body, not in the head. And we'll see why you got to put it there. But as of now, if we just follow instructions and put it right here, again, this is before I save. This guy, not working. I'm clicking it all day, not working. Before I save. After I save, look at what happens. After I save, refresh, look at this. Click on it, drop. So whenever you see any Bootstrap component interactivity not working, what are the odds? What is the first thing that you should be looking for? If it's not interactive, you probably forgot to link to their JavaScript. Okay. Now, Jay basically asked me like, yo, do you not need CSS style sheets anymore? You do for custom stuff. If you're doing any custom anything, yeah, create your own styles, which you will. You realize you know not everything is boilerplate cookie cutter, right? But to get started, yeah, you don't need to invent the wheel. And you know what you're gonna end up figuring out is, okay, so cool. Let's take a look at this, right? So I have this navbar vibe, right? And you know, as you can see, it says navbar here, but I will probably need like my own logo. So you're gonna need to figure out how everything that's in here works so that you can customize it, right? So if I look at this navbar, I can see that that's a anchor tag, and that's where navbar is coming from. So if I wanted my own logo that is an image, what do you think I should put here instead of text? An image. Everybody agree with that? I will put in a little image of some sort and maybe find me a random logo or something. So let's say you got this logo going on. So I'll copy the image address to that, put this bad boy right there, save it, go take a look at this guy. It's horrible. So guess what? You're gonna need to resize this bad boy. So let me say I'm lazy right now, but you're thinking about creating a style sheet where you kind of resize your own image. But I could also go here and just tell it like, hey, I want a width of 50 by 50 or something. And this guy kind of looks like it's messing up my stuff. I'm gonna just say width equals 50, height equals 50, like so. And there you go. I have my little logo. Hopefully you'll get the what I'm throwing down here. But if you look at this guy, right? So they also have this little navbar icon toggler, which is this little button. So kind of, let that be. And then you look at what they got. They got a bunch of ULs. Well, what are those ULs doing? Well, if you look around, you find out that all of these menu items are just LIs inside of a UL. So if we look at this, we got home, right? This home, if you look at the href, they're all anchor tags, and they're anchor tags that are basically pointing to no ID at all. They're all kind of going to the main home page. But if you wanted these menu items to navigate to some sections in your page, you all know what to do. What would you change? If you wanted me clicking on, let's say, this guy called link, it's probably, going to contact us. Same thing that we did, right? If you wanted me clicking on contact us to go to a section with an ID of contact us, hopefully you remember, you can just change this to whatever ID that you have, right? And so forth, right? You start realizing, okay, so cool, there's a drop down right here. And then if you look at what it is, it's an anchor tag. And when it like right here, it got like a navbar drop down, navbar drop down. So somehow in their JavaScript, they're relating all those two. But if you click this guy, well, you drop down action, another action, something else here. So where does that come from? Right about here. So now your goal becomes looking at a structure like this one. So for instance, like a navbar like this one, and trying to figure out, okay, of all these classes that I have, what can I customize? What can I move around? What nav bar do I have? Do I need this search bar? If you don't need it, get rid of it. Oh, let's say I don't need this search bar and I want my links to all be on the right hand side. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's a matter of figuring out, okay, where's my search bar? Well, if I look at the search bar, to me, it looks like that's the form with an input and a search button. Well, let's get rid of that. Now, if I get rid of that and I save, you should see the search bar disappear. Easy day. Okay, that's point one. But what if I want all these links to go up on the right-hand side? Well, I don't know off the top of my head how to do it, but you got a best friend. You go figure out how they're structured and start playing with a bunch of stuff. Well, Nelly, I don't see my menu. Well, you can put this thing at the bottom if you wanted to. Look at that. Okay. Now I could increase this piece and then I want to look at this menu, see how it's organized. Okay. I'll go here. I want the big zaddy guy, this guy. I know this is the nav, but what about those other links? Okay, let's look at that. It looks like those other links are coming from this UL. And when I'm talking about this UL, it looks like that UL, when I hover over it, that UL has 341 pixels by 10. So that's the width that he have. And that is inside of this div. As you can see, that's the div that containing the UL. But that div has a, pretty much 100, like all that space to it. What would you do if you wanted this UL to take up the same amount of width as its parent? What would you change? Nothing position wise. I just want this child to have the same width as its parent. All of it. All of the parent's width. There you go. 100%. Basically width 100%, right? So now this is where I'm now creating my own styles because what Bootstrap give me, I don't like or is not enough. All right. So at this point, I need to figure out what this guy is. And, it looks like they give him all these classes, but I want to give him my own class that I can style. So I'll go to my UL. So this is at this point, I realize, okay, I need my own custom style. So I'll go down here and I'll add them styles, style.css. And I'm going to need to link to that guy. So I'll come up here and I want to make sure that I put my own styles below any other third-party styles that I'm using so that I could override them whenever I want to. So I'll come here, say bootstrap CSS, and then link to custom CSS. And over here, I need to link to my CSS, and I just need to put that ./ in front of it, and I'm good to go. Now in my styles, I need again to give my UL, this guy, I need to give it my own class. So to give it my own class, it's just a matter of coming up with a name. So I just call these guys menu items container of some sort. I like that. Copy that, save this piece, go down here, start styling it. Boom, boom. Now I know that I wanted my menu items container. Time for break. Take a 10-minute break, and we'll come back and we'll finish walking through how to customize this Bootstrap classes. And then once we figure out how to do that, then the next step that I'm going to tell you is go and have fun with it. play with some components, try to see what you can do with them, and so on and so forth. Because once you get accustomed to that, then just like I was telling you, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can move faster and you could pretty much stand on top of giants and go wherever you want to go. So let's take a 10-minute break, come back at 32, and then we'll keep pushing.